Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into an ancient text that, believe it or not, holds a super modern strategy for winning at life. And I'm not talking about some abstract philosophy. This is a real practical guide for making smarter decisions, especially when you feel totally and completely stuck.
You know that feeling, right? We are just swimming in information, getting endless advice from all sides, and there's this constant fear of making the wrong move. It's so easy to get frozen by it all, not knowing which path to take with your job, your relationships, or even just your own happiness. Well, what if I told you that 2,500 years ago, a text called the Apaṇṇaka Sutta laid out a foolproof method for slicing right through all that confusion, a way to make a choice that actually guarantees a win no matter what the future holds. Sounds pretty good, right? So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to unlock the real meaning behind this text. Then, we'll look at two huge bets the Buddha proposed about how the universe actually works. After that, we'll see what the ultimate prize is for winning, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with a clear, actionable takeaway. Let's jump in. Okay, so the secret to this whole strategy is really hidden inside a single ancient word. And to get it, we can't just look at the standard dictionary translation. Nope. We have to go deeper, using a kind of linguistic analysis from the Buddha's own time to get to the intended meaning. This is where it gets really cool. The name of this teaching is the Apaṇṇaka Sutta. And that very first word, Apaṇṇaka, that's where all the magic is hiding. Now, if you look this up in a normal dictionary, you're going to get a translation like this: incontestable or certain, which, sounds very academic, very philosophical. It's solid advice for sure, but maybe not super exciting. But what if that translation totally misses the spirit of the teaching? We can use an analytical method called niruti, which is all about breaking a word down to its roots to see what it really means at its core. This gets us way closer to how the Buddha's first audience would have heard it. And boom, here it is. Apaṇṇaka is made of two parts: a, which just means not, and pana, which back then meant a leaf used as a stake in a game. Think of it like a poker chip. So Apaṇṇaka literally means not a gamble, or, to put it another way, the sure bet, a bet you absolutely cannot lose. Just feel the difference in energy here. We go from this kind of dry, intellectual idea, the incontestable teaching, to a powerful, practical strategy, the no-lose bet. This one little shift in how we understand the word changes the entire feeling of the teaching. And this is the most crucial point. The Buddha isn't asking for blind faith here. He's not saying, just believe me. He's proposing a completely rational system for managing risk when you don't know what's going to happen. It's all about placing your bets smartly on the choices that pay off no matter what. All right, let's look at the first big wager and see how this plays out. This one tackles a massive question they were debating back then that we're still debating today. Do our actions actually have consequences? Or is it all just meaningless? So, on one side of the table, you had the nihilists. They basically argued there's no such thing as good or bad. What you do doesn't matter, and when you die, game over. But on the other side, the Buddha's view was that your actions, your karma, absolutely shape your reality, now and in the future, even beyond this life. So, which one do you bet on? The Buddha's logic here is just airtight. It's beautiful. Let's walk through it. First, let's bet that your good actions do matter. Well, if you act with virtue, you win twice. People respect you in this life, and you set yourself up for a better future. That's a clear win-win. But, okay, now let's say the nihilists are right, and it's all meaningless. Well, by choosing to be a good person, you still win right here and now, because you live a life respected by others without regret. It's a guaranteed win either way. And that is the Apaṇṇaka principle in action. You always choose the path that gives you a positive result in this life, no matter what turns out to be true about the next one. It's the most rational, risk-free strategy you could possibly take. So, the teaching then applies this exact same logic to another huge debate. Is everything just predetermined by fate, or do our efforts actually change our destiny? So you had the fatalists who thought there's no real cause for anything. It's all just destiny playing out. You have no real control. And then you have the causal view, the Buddha's view, which says your effort and your choices are direct causes that shape what happens to you. And you can probably guess how the sure bet analysis goes here. If you bet on your own effort and you're right, well, you create a better life. Awesome. If you bet on effort and you're wrong, and it was all just fate anyway, you are still seen as someone who is diligent and praiseworthy in the present moment. Once again, you cannot lose by choosing to try. Okay, so if we keep making these sure bets, If we consistently choose skillful actions and believe in our own effort, what's the grand prize? What does winning this game of life actually look and feel like? The text lays out 4 possible outcomes, basically 4 types of people you can become. There are those who, through their choices, end up just tormenting themselves. Then there are those who torment other people. And tragically, there are those who do both. And then there's that 4th person.
You know, the first 3 paths are what happens when you make the losing bet. They lead to lives that are filled with stress, regret, and causing harm, either to yourself or to the people around you. That's the real cost of betting against virtue and effort.
But the 4th person, the one who consistently makes the sure bet, they live in this state of profound peace. The text uses these beautiful words. It says they are nibuto, or cooled, like the embers of a fire that has finally gone out, free from the burning heat of anxiety and stress. They are just deeply, unshakably calm. That is the jackpot. So let's bring it home. How do we take this 2,500-year-old game plan and actually apply it to our lives, right here, right now? At the end of the day, the sure bet strategy isn't really about adopting a religion. It's a pragmatic tool. It's a framework for thinking. When you're facing some big unknown, the logic is just so simple. Choose the option that is beneficial and skillful right now. Choose the path that reduces your stress and increases your well-being in the present moment, because that's the one win you can always guarantee. And so I'll leave you with this final thought. With all the uncertainty in your world, what is one sure bet, one small choice toward kindness or effort or peace that you can make for yourself today?